Hey everyone, I'm Julia Treat, and I am a psychic medium and an angel intuitive. I wanted to talk today about your children and grandchildren who may have the ability to see spirits and angels. I get families all the time that come to me or reach out, and they are concerned about their children because they don't know what's happening with them. So I want to give you a few examples of families that I've connected with. One story I write about it in my book. I have a book, Stepping into the Light, the miraculous ways that our loved ones, angels, and guides are able to let us know they're near. And in that book, I include several stories about children and their abilities. And I want to give you an example. I am also a speech language pathologist, and I specialize in the area of young children. And I was doing early intervention for several years and seeing children in their homes. I met a young girl about 2 years old. Her name was Mary. And she, when I met her, was very unique, had very few words, but quite a personality. So when I started working with Mary, I realized that she had the ability to talk with souls that maybe others couldn't see. It's just something I noticed and intuitively knew that she had the ability to do this. And I have to just say for a second, if you notice the screen going in and out of, it's just going brighter and darker. There's a lot of clouds here right now in Northeast Pennsylvania. And my room has these huge windows that span around. And so the sun is going in and out of the clouds. Just wanted to let you know. Okay, so back to my story with Mary. So as I worked with Mary, and she began, using more words, coming up with two-word sentences, two-word phrases, and then longer sentences. Her mother and I got very close. And one day her mother just reached out to me and said, I think that Mary talks to family members of mine, departed loved ones. And I just kind of giggled inside. I was always very careful of revealing everything that I did with my families because it would freak some of them out, I'm sure, and some are not ready to hear that their speech therapist, the speech therapist that sees their child is also a medium and angel intuitive. So when she opened up with that and asked me or brought it up, I felt comfortable in talking more about it. So I told her, I said, do you know what else I do? And she said no, and kind of explained some things to her. And she almost felt relieved that she had someone to talk to about this. So she started talking about Mary's abilities and that they've been going on for many years, and Mary had seemed to have conversations with many souls or beings that her mother couldn't see. And she said they'd be flat out conversations. Well, I told her that I did feel that Mary was connecting with departed loved ones. And I said, I actually explained what I saw. I see a male and a female. It was an aunt and uncle. And I walked into the kitchen and I pointed to two seats. And I said, they sit here and here. And they are drinking coffee. And Mary talks to them. And they guide Mary. They're acting as guides for her. Well, Mary's mother just started giggling because she said, she was like, oh my God, this is my aunt and uncle's house. And that's where they used to sit and drink coffee. Well, it was a bit overwhelming, but it was overwhelming in a good way for her. She realized that her daughter was not, I hate to use the term quote unquote nuts or hearing voices, schizophrenic, whatever the word is that sometimes these kiddos get labeled with. She was relieved to know that she was indeed talking to family members. Now, I encouraged Mary's mother to just be open that her daughter may have different abilities than her or may be having different experiences than her. We're all having our own experiences here. Everyone's is different. And I ended up Mary, when she turned 3, that's when I stopped seeing children. When they turn 3, they either graduate from the program if they've gotten to like age appropriate abilities, or they move on. And Mary had achieved age appropriate abilities at 3 years old. So I lost touch with them, but I do hear through the grapevine that Mary is still that very unique little girl who has what some call a huge imagination. And I know there's more going on. She sees or she experiences things in ways that others may not. So that's just one little kiddo that I have connected with. It often comes through in readings for people that come to see me that either their children or their grandchildren are either seeing things, hearing things, feeling things, scared to sleep alone at night. Sometimes I've even said, your little boy talks about seeing a man, and they'll be like, oh my God, he does all the time. So another family just thought popped in my head. It was of a 2-year-old that I saw. And I saw the family, but the little boy was 2. And his father and mother, they came as a couple, and they said that their son always says that he sees ghosts. And so my question was, and they didn't know what to do. The dad was kind of like, I don't know if I believe in that. And I said, I just have a question. Have you ever used the term ghost in front of him? And they said, never. Like, that's not something we talk about. And I said, well, where do you think he comes up with this? He's telling you what he's seeing. So these children, these special, sensitive children that have the ability to sense things that perhaps you can't, or maybe you did at one time and you have closed it off. There's many different reasons. I believe that we are all wide open when we get here as little babies. And if you ever want to read something about that, like get a better perspective of what children are experiencing when they get here, Wayne Dyer, one of my amazing mentors, wrote a book called Memories of Heaven. And what he did, he passed away in February of this year, 2016, and his book came out 2 weeks after his passing. And Wayne reached out to all of his followers, and he asked them to send in stories that their children have told them about heaven. So, he wanted to know, does your child talk about heaven? Do they talk about anything about angels, or have memories of heaven, or what happened when they got here? And so he got so many responses from all over the world. People sent in their stories. And as he was combing through these stories with his assistant, and that was the co-writer of the book, and I apologize, I can't think of her name right now, but he and his assistant started going through all of the stories. And they began to notice patterns, like children were talking about things that were similar, yet they weren't from the same area in the world. So some children were saying, we all have wings, Mommy, and I got here and I don't have them anymore. There were so many stories about that. But I don't want to talk about all of the details of the book because it truly is, it's a treasure. I would suggest that you read it. I would suggest anyone read it, but especially if you have a child that you are wondering about his or her abilities. So again, it's Memories of Heaven by Wayne Dyer. All right, so these children, my biggest piece of advice to parents or grandparents, sometimes the children open up to grandparents and they don't to parents. My biggest piece of advice is to be open that it can be happening, that maybe they are seeing things, maybe they are seeing monsters or angels or ghosts or whatever the term is that they use. Maybe they are seeing a man or a woman or a child that you can't see or sense. Be open to that happening, just the possibility. Because can you imagine having this little mind or these little psychic eyes, that's just what I'm going to call them, seeing or experiencing what they are, running to mommy or daddy and telling them, I'm seeing this, help, or I'm scared, and mom or dad saying, there's nothing there, go back to bed. Or I know you're making it up and you just don't want to go to bed. Like, there's so many things that I've heard, and it just honestly breaks my heart. I'm not going to say that never happens, but I think it happens way too much for these little kiddos that are actually pouring their heart out and pleading for help or anything. So be open that it's possible. The second tip that I can give you is, if you can't or you don't get a sense of it, that's fine. I would just approach your child and say it something like, wow, that's cool that you see that or that's happening. And sometimes you experience things or see things that mommy doesn't. And can you tell me what they looked like? Because I'd like to know. Or was it a man or a woman? Or, it's kind of, honestly, it's trying to help take the fear out of it. So the more they can talk about it and be open about it with someone, it's going to help them at least not just back up and put up this wall, because that's not going to help them in any areas of their life. There's one thing I've learned: if you have this ability, you cannot block it, you cannot turn it off. And so many try to do things to deaden it or weaken it or make it go away. All right, so talk to your child, just be open that, wow, okay. Or if they say, hey, grandma came to me and she said this, say, wow, that's amazing. I appreciate the message. I hope she comes to me that way, or anything. Just make it because here's the thing I found. These kiddos that are having these experiences, that is normal for them. And they think everyone's having that. There's a little 2-year-old that's talking to an aunt and uncle drinking coffee in the kitchen. She assumes everybody can see that. So when we act like, oh my God, I don't see that. I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't happen. Can you imagine? I mean, you can just get what that does, right? It just really makes them think, what? There's something wrong with me. Or they just start this shutting down at a very young age. So more tips. If they are seeing or experiencing things that are scary, that they don't like, I always say call in Archangel Michael. He is the go-to angel. He's my go-to angel every single day. Archangel Michael God created him to watch over us and protect us. And he is there at a moment's notice. I mentor many children and families of sensitive children. And one of the first things I talk about is I tell the kids to call in Archangel Michael and ask him to stand by them, to wrap them up in his purple light. It's this beautiful purple light. Some people see indigo blue color or blue sparkles, just to let you know. He does come in 3 different colors. And when I've brought it up with children, a lot of them have, I've asked, has anyone seen purple sparkles around their house or purple light? And I kid you not, the classes I teach, every single child has their hand raised. So I tell them that Archangel Michael is God's superhero. And for the little kids, I just say, have Archangel Michael come put his cape, his purple cape around you. He is making you invincible. You are protected. Nothing can get to you. And the reason that you want to do this or teach your child to do this is that Archangel Michael will protect them. He will shield them from things that they are afraid of. I'm not going to say that things that can harm them, because I actually don't believe in that. But I do believe that souls or spirits that are uncrossed can come to us, those of us that are sensitive. And it is a different feeling, a different vibration, because they have not made it to the light for one reason or another. And they do visit a lot of us, and especially little sensitive kiddos. So Archangel Michael, he can keep them away. He can keep your child sleeping peacefully and soundly. Another tip I have is, along with Archangel Michael's protection, is I suggest that parents find a picture online. Like, just Google Archangel Michael pictures with your kid, with your child. Find one they like, print it out, laminate it maybe or not, but hang it over their bed so that they remember he's there. Archangel Michael is fierce. I mean, he is magical, he is loving, he is a fierce force with towards anything that comes towards any little kiddo or adult that has called on his help. I call him every single day in the morning, and I have him wrap me up with his purple light of protection so that I can go through my day without absorbing anyone's energy, anyone else. I don't want anyone else's sadness or anger or resentment or crap. So just another way that Archangel Michael can help all of us, not just the little children. So moving forward, Talk to your child often, every morning, maybe during breakfast. Hey, let's call on Archangel Michael to wrap us up. And, he can wrap you all up at the same time. You as a parent, you don't need to be out in the world attracting other people's negative energy, so have him wrap you up. Do it as a morning ritual. And then at night, when it's time for bed, maybe you just say a little, Archangel Michael, watch over me as I sleep, while you're with your child there in their bed. And have them close their eyes and envision this purple light going around them. Have them envision Archangel Michael standing by their bed. I ask Archangel Michael to stand by my bed every night and watch over me and help me sleep. And when I do that, I sleep soundly. When I forget, which honestly doesn't happen anymore, but when I used to forget, when I was new at all this, I would wake up a lot, and it would be maybe nightmares or bad feelings or just restless sleep. I would wake up 3-5 times a day or a night. So Archangel Michael can help us sleep. All right, I hope this helps. I'm like asking my guides, asking the angels, is there anything else that I can add today? And they are saying, it is complete. That's enough for this video. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel because I will be putting out many more videos to help you on your own journey and anyone's journey, any little kids, anything I can do to help, I am here. Reach out on my website, juliatreat.com, where I have several different programs that may help you. I have guided meditations. There's links to all of my offerings. I have a link to my free podcast there on my website. That may help. I have a link to my book if you want to look into that further. So I hope to connect with you in one way or another. I am here if you ever need me. Please reach out, and I will do whatever I can to help you and your amazing, beautiful, sensitive child. I love you. Namaste.